Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody together. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshagavannilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So I will share just a minute, I'll just share the PowerPoint with all of you just in a minute. Can you see it? Last time I just began, we did a and then we got into many question answers last time. How the Sita Prajna or self-realized person acts in this world of senses and sense objects. I began this question and we read a little bit of this, I believe. Oh, one of you can please read it, please. So far,
Krishna explained the dangers of accepting the sense objects and how a Sita Prajna controls himself from being distracted by them. Now, he says that it is not a fault to accept the sense objects if it is done with controlled senses, without undue attachment in the mind.
What is this with controlled senses and undue attachment in the mind is explained further. We will discuss that today. Raga dvesha vimuktaistu vishayanindriyaschara atma vasyair vidheyatma prasadamadi gacchati. Please read the translation, please.
Yeah. But a person free from all attachments and aversion and able to control his senses through the regulative principles, I cannot say the bottom.
Is it that? Okay, regulative principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord.
Yeah.
So this is further explained in this commentary here. So the question is, how does he move amidst sense objects? With sense control, that is being explained. He moves with sense control. So in the picture you find the family here, husband, wife and child. And there is also a prasadam plate. Two pictures you are seeing. So this is a religious family and they are regulated family. So what is the meaning of that? I will tell you. Religious family means they follow the law codes of God as given in the scriptures. Like for example, this man is married and he has a child. He lives within the stipulation of married life. He doesn't go for extramarital affairs. He lives within the boundary set by God in the scriptures. So that way it's a religious family. And regulated family means, his heart is in doing kirtan and bhajan. You can see that he has a mridanga in his lap. And he is also inspiring his wife and child in spiritual life. So their main goal is not sense gratification. Their main goal is Krishna consciousness, which means husband is inspiring wife and child that let us all go back to Godhead. Let us lead a pure life. And you can see there are two types of family people. One is called Grihastha, another one is called Grihamedi. Grihastha means he keeps the Lord in the center of the house. He chants the holy name, studies the sacred texts, and he performs worship for the Lord. And he does all his actions from morning to night as an offering to Lord. Oh Lord, you have given me everything I possess. Everything belongs to you. You are the proprietor of my home. So I will inspire my wife and children, everybody in my family to worship you, dress you. Like for example, in our ISKCON society, we have ISKCON temples where you might have seen, like we have beautiful deities of Radha Krishna, which are decorated with nice dresses. So such grihasthas, they stitch dress and give for the Lord. They make ornaments and give for the Lord. They also perform puja, worship of the Lord. And then they study the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, sacred text. They chant the holy name. They also do some job or business. The money which they earn, they give a portion of that money for propagating this message. They purchase Bhagavad Gitas and they distribute it to many people. Or they invite new people to their home and they put up a program where they conduct a class on Gita and they explain to them. In this way, they are God-centered families called Grihastha, we call. Griha Meri is just the opposite. Just like you have seen in India, you will find this, a bull going around a pole. Sometimes two bulls, they go round and round around a pole and they extract oil from groundnut or from sesame seeds. They extract oil. So this oil extracting mechanism where two bulls, like they are put under a yoke and they go round and round like this and they make oil. Similarly, just as those bulls are going round and round, for some people their life revolves around money. For some people their life revolves around opposite sex. For some people their life revolves around popularity and fame and maintaining their stature in society, status in society, things like that. For some people their life revolves around their hobbies. Somebody wants to go for surfing and somebody wants to go for hitchhiking, or somebody wants to go for trekking. Their whole life they spend a lot of time in those things, activities, because they don't know any meaning of life, purpose of life, goal of life. At this point I want to tell you a little bit about Buddha, Shankara and Ramanuja and Chaitanya. These four people, you will see that it's not that they are all different teachers saying different things. It's not like that. You can see what do you call it, comparison, and how like a flower gradually blossoms. These personalities blossomed the truth little by little, one by one. I'll tell you how. If you see, Buddha's focus was, desire is the root cause of all evil. You have to give up all the desires. Because as long as you have desire in this world, you're going to suffer. And he did not talk directly so much about the soul, about God, about spiritual world or anything. He said nirvana. Nirvana means this world is a place of suffering. You have to get out of this suffering, and for that you have to control your desires. So he gave those 8 items: right thought, right speech, right action, right desires. So he says that desire is the root cause of all evil. So Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. So he taught that. So be non-violent, do not injure other living beings, and don't incur sin in that way, and don't accrue any reactions to such behavior. So get rid of all the desires. Bucket all the desires from your heart, throw them out. That was his teaching. Which is a very difficult thing to do. If somebody has to remove all the oxygen from a flask, it would be very difficult to do. Because if you create a vacuum, the flask may explode. Then came Shankara. Shankara said, first understand the difference between what is conscious, what is dead. The difference between matter and spirit. Know the difference between the two. You are not the matter, you are the spirit, and you are superior to matter. Because you can manipulate matter. Say take wood, for example, big wooden, a tree is cut, you have a wood. With that wood, you can manipulate the wood and make a table. Or right now, man has manipulated the commodities and made this computer. So, in this way, matter can be manipulated by spirit. Spirit is superior to matter. You are not matter, you are superior to spirit. Understand that one indwelling spirit in all the living beings. Understand that spirit as the supreme one. Like that, Shankara taught that. So, now it's a little improvement over what Buddha said. Buddha said, suffering in this world is prevalent because of desires. Get rid of all the desires. And be silent. Don't talk. Don't injure other living beings. And become free from attachments and aversions. Keep yourself aloof. And therefore, many of the Buddhists try to do meditation and they try to keep themselves aloof. But sometimes it is seen that although they may try to keep themselves away from disease, it's like telling a child, if you force a child not to play with any toys, the child may even scream. If you tell a child, just sit down, don't do anything, that's very difficult. Because the child requires, if the child is picking up a knife, you can tell the child, see, if you give the knife, I'll give you a toy. Then you take away the knife and you give the toy, the child is all right, child is happy. Similarly, a person is told that you fast, you don't eat because it is harmful, you are eating harmful items for your belly, it will be spoiled. You are eating junk food, you are eating oily foods, you are eating too much fried foods, so better you stop eating all these things. So a person may say, okay sir, I'll stop, but will you give me something else as a substitute? Okay, I tell him that, okay, I'll give you bland diet as a substitute. You have to eat plain rice, nothing else. So one day he can eat, 2 days he can eat, but he will struggle. How can I survive? Then he can say, now I'll give you healthy foods which will not harm your belly. They're tasty and healthy, they're nutritious, but they won't harm your belly. That's what you're looking for. That is a very positive thing. So compare these three things. A person is told not to eat at all, and he is asked to eat only plain rice, or he is allowed to eat very tasty foods which are also healthy for him. These are different things. This is not true. In the same manner, Buddhism, he told that you give up all the desires, abandon all your desires. And then when Shankara came, he said, you are not the body, you are the spirit, soul, you are Atman, and there is one indwelling spirit in all the creatures, and that is superior. That is superior to matter. Understand that. That was his teaching. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. I am spirit soul. I am spirit soul. Like that they meditate. I am not this material body. I am spirit soul. Like that they think. Now in Shankara Sampradaya what happens? You have to completely abandon sex life. And you have to be a sannyasi, and you have to join the matha, and then you will be able to make it. You will be able to make it to moksha, to attain moksha. So there are rules like that, very stringent rules like that. And in order to get rid of the attraction for the opposite sex, Shankara says, Nari stana baranavi desham drishtva maga moha veshyam yetam mamsavasa divikara manasi vichintaya varam varam. He says that again and again, remember, this body of a man or a woman is very attractive externally. But if you cut and see the cross-section of the body, what is it? It's all with bones and nerves and muscles and flesh and blood and all abominable substances inside. If you take the cross-section of the body, there is nothing attractive or appealing inside. But externally it is packaged very nicely. Body looks very attractive due to the Maya. Maya has packaged it very attractively. There is a kind of strong attraction between male and female. So he says, Shankara says in Viveka Chodamani, he says that, think about Vanasi Vichintaya Varam Varam, how this body is abominable and it cannot give happiness. And therefore you give it up. You are not the body, you are the spirit soul. Aham Brahmasmi. Do this affirmation by thinking that I am not the body, I am the spirit soul. So now somebody may give up externally the connection with the opposite sex and may try to think I am Aham Brahmasmi. But what happens again? Like I was telling about Buddhism, giving up desire is difficult. Similarly, a person who says Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit soul, I am not the body, that is not sufficient. For example, say one of you, say you are an engineer. Sunit, are you an engineer? Is it?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I am an engineer.
Sunit is an engineer now. Say, Sunit says, I am engineer. What engineer are you?
Mechanical.
Mechanical, okay. So if Sunit says, I am mechanical engineer, I am mechanical engineer, will he become happy? He has to go and do some mechanical engineering job. Go to the company, go to the shop floor, do some activity pertaining to the mechanical engineering, then he'll become happy. And if he's simply saying, I am a mechanical engineer, that is like jnani. And bhakta means he acts as a bhakta. Like I told you, he worships the Lord, He bows down to Lord. He cooks for the Lord, makes dress for the Lord. He makes ornaments for the Lord. He claps hands and sings the Lord's glories. He dances for the Lord. He makes a temple for the Lord. And he also distributes the knowledge that Lord has given by publishing books and distributing it to the people. He goes out in the streets and chants and dances and spreads the holy name of the Lord, holy glories of the Lord. And that is the meaning of a devotee. Devotee means one who is acting on the platform of spirit soul. Jnani means one who recognizes I am spirit soul. And Buddhist means one whose eyes are focused on getting rid of suffering. So you can see the step by step. Buddha 0, and then Shankara said one indwelling spirit. Yeah. So Ligan, this chants which he said, which chants you are asking? Which was the chant you were asking, which I was telling now? Ligan, can you hear me? The one which I chanted in the beginning, is that the one you were asking? Hey, we can, Jayakrishapu, Ligan can be unmuted? Yeah. Actually, the Aham Brahmasmi which I was telling, that is actually said in all the Upanishads also, that I am not the body, I am the spirit soul. And that is the correct thing, Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit soul. But they only talk about recognizing and contemplating on your Brahmanhood, that I am different from the body, I am conscious, I am not the material body. But that doesn't talk about acting on the Brahman platform. Then Ramanuja came and said, see, yes, it is true, you are the indwelling spirit, but there is also a supreme spirit in your heart. There are two. There are two spirits. One is supreme spirit, one is, there are two birds sitting in a tree. Upanishads also say that, Samanye vrikshe purusho nimagno anishesh vachati muhyamanaha. There are two birds sitting in a tree. Yeah. Jacob is saying, instead of saying Aham Brahmasmi, now we say that Aham Krishna Das. That's correct. Jivera Sarupohi Krishna Nityadas. That's we also say I am Krishna Das, and we also act as Krishna Das also. Acting. Like our Sunit is a mechanical engineer, he recognizes it, but he also is acting as a mechanical engineer, isn't it? Similarly, somebody is a housewife, she's married to a man. Now she is at home, she is a homemaker. And the wife says, I am housewife, I am housewife. That's not enough. She has to go to the kitchen, cook some nice food and give it to the husband and the children and make everybody happy at home and be happy herself. She is supposed to be dynamic and active. It's not enough to recognize she is a housewife. Yes, it is true that her identity is she is a housewife, but at the same time she has to act as a housewife. Similarly, doctor is, I am doctor. Okay, you are doctor. Take the stethoscope, wear the apron, go to the hospital, do some work as a doctor. And that's what Bhakti Yoga says. Bhakti Yoga says, yes, recognize you are the soul and act in relation to the super soul. In the mood of Krishna Das, as Jacob rightly said. That is the right mode to start. So that was started by Ramanuja. Ramanuja says, and then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy is Achintya Beda Abeda, we say. Ramanuja is called Visishtadvaita, we call it. So both are very similar. There are some fine differences between the two. Ramanuja said, just like soul is residing in a body, similarly, the body, for example, my hands are moving now because the soul is present. That means the movement of my hand depends on the presence of the soul. If soul wouldn't be present in this body, my hands cannot move like this. So in the same manner, Shripad Ramanujacharya said that, the soul is dependent on super soul, like our material body is dependent on the presence of soul. Like that he has said. So material body is not independent. It is dependent on the presence of soul. Similarly, soul is not independent. Soul is dependent on the super soul. Like that he said. That is Visishtadvaita. What Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did was, further addition to that, he said Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. What he explained was that, yes, your soul and God is Supreme Soul. But God has given you minute independence also. Yeah. God has supreme independence, fully independent, and you have minute independence. Yeah. And you and God are one in quality. For example, take one bottle of water from an ocean and then take it to the laboratory. The percentage of salt in that bottle of water and the ocean is the same. But the quantity of salt in the ocean is very great, and the quantity of salt in the bottle of water is very limited. Another example we will give you. Take a golden mountain, huge golden mountain, and from that you take a little gold, bring it to home, you make an earring or a nose ring or a ring for your fingers. So this is also gold, and the mountain of gold is also gold, but the quantity is different. So God is like a gold mountain and we are like a small gold. Quality is one, but in quantity we are different. So Lord Chaitanya taught this, because Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. All qualities God possesses, we also have it in very minute proportion, in small proportion. For example, in a drop of water from the ocean, in that drop of water, whales are not present, whereas in ocean, whales can live. In the drop of water, it cannot wreck a ship, but the ocean can wreck a ship. A drop of water does not have waves, but ocean has waves. So these are the different aspects. And what are the similarity aspects? The percentage of salt in the drop of water is same as percentage of salt in the ocean. And drop of water is salty, ocean is also salty. Drop of water is water, ocean is also water. These are similarities. So therefore he said Achintya Bheda Abheda. Bheda means difference, Abheda means no difference. So he said, and then he also said that the soul is a part and parcel of God, of Krishna, and Krishna maintains all the souls in this world. He is like father of all creatures. He has to be lovingly served, and that is the relationship. So love for God is not a passive noun. Rather, love for God is an active verb. You know the difference between noun and verb. Love can be used as a noun, love can be used as a verb. Verb means active. The love has to be actively shown. So that's why you will find in Prabhupada, when he translates the word bhakti, he translates it as devotional service. It is not just devotion in the heart. We have to render devotional service. So, so how do we render devotional service? All of us in our own capacity should render some service to God by introducing people to Krishna consciousness. Just like you all are living in certain part of America, introduce it to your colleagues, to your neighbors. Taking this sublime and very vital message of God to our friends, to our relatives, to our circle of people is a very noble service, noblest of the service. It's like you're connecting the orphans back to their the orphans who have got lost, you're connecting them back to their father. It's a very great seva by doing that. Imagine an orphan is walking on the road weeping, searching for the parents. You are escorting that child back to the father. Is it not a wonderful service? So this is one of the services you can do. In your own capacity you can do. If you can speak this knowledge, you can speak, or you can give them some prasadam, or you can give them a copy of Bhagavad Gita, or you can bring them to this program. Like this, you can do something by which they will get connection. So that's one type of service. So there are indoor services, there are outdoor services we do. In indoor service, we have a beautiful deity of Krishna, as I told you, which we decorate and dress and we worship, and we cook food and we offer it to the Lord and distribute it to the bhaktas living in the temple and people who are visiting the temple. These are all done indoors. Background services we do. So outgoing service, like we go and distribute books, Bhagavad Gita and other small books of Srila Prabhupada. We go out and do Harinam Sankirtan, where we dance and sing in the streets. We do Harinam Sankirtan. Similarly, we also do prasadam distribution outdoor also to people. And we go to the homes, colleges, schools and do programs. Yes, Yash, go ahead.
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Question. So before when you wake up in the morning, right, and everything, right? So I come Vaishnav family as well. So one parents is like Vaishnava, the other one's Swaminarayan. So in Swaminarayan traditions, they do like puja and everything in the morning after they wake up. Is it
Right.
same process in Vaishnava or the other families as well? Like I've seen my
Actually,
mom.
morning hours are very good for spiritual activities.
Correct, correct. But is there like a set, like you have your own daily set of puja set that you worship God?
Actually, you can have a picture of the deities of Radha Krishna with you.
Okay.
Radha Shyam Sundar, Radha Madhav. You can have a picture of the Radha Krishna. Yeah, you are living in which part of America? You told me last time. You told me
Yeah, Atlanta, Georgia only.
Atlanta. Yeah. So, you are in Atlanta. When I come to Atlanta, I can get a picture of Radha Krishna deity for you. When I come in September, I'll be coming. I can bring it for you. So, or if you can get it locally, picture in the local temple, you can have Radha Krishna picture, and with the picture we can show the agarbatti to the Lord. You offer a flower to the Lord. Whatever you eat, you offer it to Him first. Bow down and chant Hare Krishna mantra 3 times, and then you take it after 5 minutes, and then you can accept it. So these are very simple methods. There is one book called as Beginner's Guide to Krishna Consciousness. I will tell Jai Krishna Prabhu to send it to all of you. It's available. Beginner's Guide to Krishna Consciousness. The soft copy is available. So that's a very nice small book, a handy book for this thing. For those who are eager to learn these things, procedures are given there. So he will WhatsApp to all of you, and you can read that book and start implementing as much as you can. Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So Jacob is saying that I haven't had an opportunity to live in an ashram, so do devotees dress and undress and decorate the effigy of Krishna every day, or is it just dress once and then kept clean and serviced? Actually, in a day they decorate Krishna twice, morning and night. Morning 7:15 the darshan opens, and then evening again, night before going to, just like we all wear a night different dress one may wear. So Lord also has a simpler dress in the night, and the morning dress is very gorgeous. Yeah. So yeah, that will be perfect to start learning the process. Yeah, very good. So now you got an idea of difference between Buddha, then Shankara, and Ramanuja, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this way, the philosophy gradually evolves, and then you understand Lord Chaitanya is actually synthesizing all the philosophies. You are able to see that. For example, Buddha said you should abandon all the desires. What Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you see, yes, it is true. One shouldn't be allured by the body of the opposite sex and be attached to the material bodies, because then one gets stuck in this world by repeated birth and death. Rather, one can marry as per religious sanction, husband and wife. One can live as husband and wife. They can beget children and raise them in Krishna consciousness. Instead of simply becoming attached to each other's body, one can become attached to Radha and Krishna. One can become attached to the Lord. And in that way, Krishna consciousness is a very positive approach. There is no denial, there is no self-denial. Rather, Krishna consciousness teaches us how to connect everything to God and act as per His sanction and not act independently. And that will make this point clear, what I was showing here. You can see this couple, husband, wife and child. They are not Grihamedi, they are Grihastha. Grihastha means they live for the noblest cause of being a devotee of the Lord, the acceptance of God, alignment with God, acting for the pleasure of God. That is their lifestyle. So, and they eat only prasadam like this. And this is how one can control the senses. Yeah. Now, how does he walk? How does he engage his senses? See, while engaging his senses, he does with regulation and religious principles. So what is that regulation? I have shown in the right side box. You can read the blue box, please, one of you.
Regulated sex life to generate good population is worth accepting. SB 3.21.1.
Srimad Bhagavatam, it is 321.1 purport. Regulated sex life to?
Regulated sex life to generate good population is worth accepting. Actually, Vidura was not interested in hearing the history of persons who merely engaged in sex life, but he was interested in the progeny of Swambhu Manu, because in that dynasty, good devotee kings appeared who protected their subjects very carefully with spiritual knowledge. By hearing the history of their activities, therefore, one becomes more enlightened. An important word used in this connection is Paramasammata, which indicates that the progeny created by Swambhu Manu and his sons was approved of by great authorities. In other words, sex life for creating exemplary population is acceptable to all sages and authorities of Vedic scriptures.
That means even sex life can be dovetailed in Lord's service, and by that way one can control his senses. That's called regulated lifestyle. So this Swayambhu Manu, regarding him you will study in the Srimad Bhagavatam. He and Shatarupa were husband and wife, and they had 5 children. 2 Akuti, Prasuti, 3 of them, Trebhuti, Akuti, Prasuti, 3 daughters, and Uttanapad and Priyavrata, 2 sons. So they had 2 sons and 3 daughters. So 5 children they had. But what kind of king he was, you want to know? No, he would rise early in the morning when the musical instruments will be played and Lord's names will be glorified when he is getting up from the bed. And then he would take a bath and come. He would hear the pastimes of the Lord from the scriptures. And he also would go to the temple of Lord and do some seva. And then he would go for his profession as a king. And then the night before going to bed, again they would hear narrations from pastimes of the Lord, like Ramayana, Mahabharata, Srimad Bhagavatam, he would hear. And then he would go to bed at night. And all day he lived life in accordance to the principles taught by God. He saw the citizens as his own children. He was non-exploitative king. Whatever wealth he collected from the people, just like the sun absorbs water from the ocean, doesn't keep it itself. It gives it all back as sweet water, rains. Similarly, he would collect taxes from the people and do welfare for the people. And on behalf of God, he was emanating love of God. I mean, on behalf of God, he was emanating the same love for the people. And also, he was duly married. He had sons and daughters. He lived in that marriage tie. He didn't have extramarital affair or anything like that. He didn't kill the animals and innocent creatures like cows unnecessarily. He lived a very ideal and pure life himself, setting an example for all the citizens. So such a king leading such a married life and begetting children in Krishna consciousness, that is considered to be perfect sense control. It's not that only the brahmacharis and sannyasis who are wearing saffron dress and keeping away from the opposite, only they are controlling senses. So this is a very revolutionary idea Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu presented. Lord Chaitanya said, it is not enough for you to know you are not the body, you are the soul. It is not enough for you to know that besides the soul there is also super soul God. Just recognizing is not good enough. But he said it is important for you to actively serve God with love. And it is also important to know that the Atma, the Atma has many designations external. Like for example, I am called Brahmachari, somebody is called Grihastha. Somebody is an unmarried celibate like me. Somebody is married person. But the Atma in both the bodies are servant of God. So one can serve in the capacity of a monk like me, or somebody can serve in the capacity of someone who is married. It makes no difference for God. God doesn't see the external dress you wear. God sees your heart. So if you have love of God in your heart, even as a married man or a married woman, so Lord will accept that love. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught. So sense control doesn't necessarily mean that one gives up everything of the world and goes to Himalayas and lives alone. Yeah, that kind of limited understanding should be given up. The Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught that. So therefore a broad understanding of Jacob has asked a question. During my meditation, my growth, I noticed that denial of your different bodies, mental, physical, emotional, can cause a certain amount of turmoil within if you are not quite ready to discard it totally. Accepting each piece and giving the positive substitution and love of Krishna makes you know and feel you are not missing anything by giving up these other things because you gain so much more in love. Wonderful! It's a deep understanding. Jacob is getting better and better in his comments every time he makes it. So this is exactly what I would want to say, which Jacob has said. Same thing what I would want to say. Brilliant point it is. So Therefore, in Krishna consciousness, we don't say give up things, we say connect things. Connect everything to the Lord. Don't give up, you don't have to give up. Now, as we proceed further, you will understand little more than this point. See here, there is one more, you can say this. Prabhupada saying, so this material civilization is like fever. Read that from there.
So this material civilization is like fever. We should not increase it. Neither we should decrease it to such an extent that we shall die. Just like fever. Fever, 105, 107 degrees or 106 degree, 5 degree reduce it. Reduce, reduce, reduce. But it must stay at 100. Not 100, 98 degrees. If you reduce 98 degree, 97, it is also not good. Similarly, our program is not to increase to the death point, neither to decrease it to the death point. Tara viharasya.
Yuktahara viharasya.
Yuktahara viharasya. We don't say don't eat. Eat, but don't eat more or don't eat less. That is our program. We don't say don't eat. We don't prohibit anything. We don't say no sex life. Yes. We don't say no. Yes. Sex life, married sex life, and regulated sex life.
So now you understand the point, isn't it? So Prabhupada explains very beautifully in this purport, very nicely explains. So this is how the true detachment actually means what? In love of God, offering everything to the Lord as a service to the Lord. Everything belongs to Him in this world, offering it to Him and not enjoying independent of God. Like for example, if somebody wants to remain unmarried, but at the same time is connecting with multiple women, so that is called adultery. And that is prohibited by God. That's not allowed. Or somebody is pretending to be a monk, but he's not a monk, he's a cheater. He has multiple promiscuous relationships. That is condemned. On the other hand, somebody is married, outside the married relationship is keeping connection. That is also considered sinful. But if somebody is married, husband, wife, or devotees, they are aligned with God's laws, that is perfectly justified. Same with eating also. If you eat vegetarian food, offered to the Lord, and then you consume it, that is called prasadam. But if somebody is eating non-vegetarian food, killing the animals, innocent creatures, then he is killing a child of God unnecessarily. While he can survive on vegetables and fruits and cereals, he is unnecessarily causing harm to his younger brother, poor creatures. So one gentleman came to Srila Prabhupada and said, Swamiji, in Bible it is said, God has put all the animals and birds in our custody. Man has dominion over God's children. Dominion over animals and birds. Like that, one man argued with Prabhupada. So Prabhupada said, yes, it is true. God has put man, under the man, a man's dominion, God has put these creatures, but not for exploitation, but for protecting them. For example, if I give you a dog or a cow or a bird to keep in your house, that is not that you kill them. God has given them to you because they are poor creatures, they can't speak. They are dependent on man. They are domestic creatures. They live at home. They should be protected with love. They don't deserve to be killed. Like we eat, they eat. We sleep, they sleep. We reproduce, they reproduce. What is the difference? They are all, there is also soul in their body, like soul is in our body. So, therefore, what we do should be religious and regulated, both. Like marriage is religious, and marriage becomes regulated when husband and wife are not triggered by sense gratification. Sometimes we find husband and wife, they're traveling here, traveling there, lavishly spending money, they are having parties, drinking, smoking, doing so many things, and they are simply centered around enjoyment. Eat, drink, and be merry, and they have no knowledge of God, no idea of God, no service to God. That is unregulated life, an irreligious life. So we should be religious and regulated. Those 2 points were made. Yeah. You can read this, one of you.
If one wants to make steady progress on the path of self-realization, he must try to control the forces of the material senses. There are the forces of thought, forces of anger, forces of mind, forces of the stomach, forces of the genitals, and forces of the tongue. one who is able to control the forces of all these different senses, and the mind is called Goswami or Swami.
Such Goswamis?
Such Goswamis live strictly controlled lives and control altogether the forces of the senses.
So there are 6 forces given. See the picture, the tongue, belly and genitals are in one line. So these 3 forces are easy to remember. The tongue wants to taste very delicious foods, always. And the tongue wants to vibrate and speak something, always. The tongue has 2 activities, eating activity and speaking activity. So we should eat only Krishna Prasadam and speak only pure things related to Lord Krishna or something that will be beneficial to others. And we should not eat that which is not sanctioned, and we should not speak things which are like useless debate or argumentation, fault finding, criticizing, blaspheming, bad mouthing. All these things should be given up with the tongue. Similarly, with the belly, we should not overload the belly. We should eat 50% of the belly should be full, 25% with water and 25% with air, so that we can nicely digest the food. And that is regulated belly. Similarly, genitals, I told you, the genitals are used for reproduction of children. Unnecessarily, one should not waste the human energy by misuse of the genitals, by illicit sex life. So the illicit sex life includes many things. Like for example, I told you, having an extramarital affair is one type of illicit sex. Unnecessarily, one should not waste the semen. Unnecessarily, one should not indulge in this sexual habits unnecessarily. It's actually kept for reproduction of the children. So therefore, if one wants to forget this bad activities, dirty activities, then we have to uplift our vision. So instead of animalistic propensities, we should have divine propensities. And that is possible when you have positive spiritual Krishna conscious engagements, if you have. Like when you are hearing this class today now, it's completely absorbing for you, isn't it? Similarly, when you are doing kirtan, when you are seeing the deities, when you are going out and distributing books, or doing services. So these are all absorbing activities. So you become spiritually absorbed in your mind. Then the material tendencies for doing dirty activities will go away. That can be easily forgotten. This is the most intelligent thing to do. Like the mother sees that the child is taking a knife. Instead of that, mother carefully takes the knife away and gives the child a toy, a good substitute. Now child plays with the toy, but it is harmless for the child. In the same manner, Lord has given us procedure of Krishna consciousness. Like every one of your senses can be engaged. Eyes can be engaged for seeing the Lord. Nose can be engaged for smelling the flower offered to Him. Tongue can be engaged for eating prasad and chanting the holy name. In this way, each sense, when you gather all the senses from all directions with Krishna conscious engagements, how can they trouble you? Then the senses are not stopped, the senses are not denied, but the senses are given alternative, superior, purifying spiritual engagement. It's an alternative, but it's a superior engagement, spiritual engagement, purifying and elevating engagement. And that is Bhakti Yoga. That's the beauty of Bhakti Yoga. So this tongue, belly, genitals and all, one can easily control, provided we stick to this path. Please read that, yeah? Who will read this for me?
Material desires, when unsatiated, generate anger, and thus the mind, eyes, and chest become agitated. Therefore, one must practice to control them before one gives up this material body. One who can do this is understood to be self-realized and is thus happy in the state of self-realization. It is the duty of the transcendentalist to try strenuously to control desire and anger.
So we have many attachments. When those attachments are not fulfilled, we get angry, extremely. So saintly people, they control this lust, anger, greed, LAG. They make us lag in our life, always. So these are like viruses in the computer. They are no good. So we have to replace them. So what do? There is one verse which says, Kama Krishna Karmarpane, Krodha Bhakta Dveshi Jane, Lobha Sadhu Sange Harikata. 3 things are said. Kama Krishna Karmarpana means, lust means adamant desire for the prohibited things. So that adamant attachment for prohibited things, how it can be overcome? He says, if you are bustling with Krishna conscious physical activities, like for example, I am cooking sweet rice, or I am cutting the vegetables, or I am packing the books and distributing the books, I become very, very active with my body. All my physical energy is being spent in Krishna Karmarpana. So in that way, what happens? My passion will not drive me to do some wrong things. And Krodha Bhakta Dveshi Jana means you can engage your anger in defeating the atheistic people, in defeating those who criticize God. You can establish the truth, and that way you can engage your anger in that direction. Like for example, Hanuman went to Lanka. He very boldly dealt with Ravana. He utilized his anger there. Similarly, Arjuna was in the battle assisting Lord Krishna. On Krishna's order, he exhibited his chivalrous nature against the enemies. So one can use one's anger to defeat the atheism and all kinds of such things. And then, Lobha Sadhu Sangya Harikatha, he says, one should have greed for hearing more and more spiritual intake, and for doing chanting more and more, and also glorifying the Lord more and more. There you can engage your greed, he says. In this way, these three also have a positive counterpart. They have a negative counterpart, positive counterpart also. In that way, we can engage them. And we can rise above the lower nature. Yeah. So, yeah, here Prabhupada talks especially about the tongue. Please read it. If you want to control the senses.
So if you want to control the senses, you have to control the tongue first of all. Then you will be able to control other senses very easily. So you give tongue the engagement of chanting Hare Krishna and for tasting Krishna Prasadam, you will find that your other senses are already controlled.
So the tongue is dictating me. What is tongue dictating?
So tongue is dictating me, but if you can control your tongue, no, I will give you sweet balls, don't go there, then you will become master of the senses. You see, the others are trying that, don't go there only. That is impossible. The tongue must have something beautiful. Otherwise, it is not possible. That is artificial. If the tongue, you give him something more beautiful than this fried chick or steak or this or that, it will stop. That is the policy. All the senses should be supplied something, not artificially stop it. You can purify the activities of the senses being engaged in Krishna consciousness, then senses will not disturb.
So this is about eating that Srila Prabhupada says, how you, like you see in the picture, Lord Krishna and his friends are all eating prasad. So in this way, by accepting Krishna prasad, our mind and senses will become calm, cool, collected, because prasadam, which is offered to God with love, also has a purifying effect. So nowadays in this day and age, it's very difficult to get pure food outside, and many of the business people are cooking food with the intention to make money. So all of you who are attending this program, I do not know where you eat, but you can think about how, if you can actually join a club of 5 or 10 devotees in your locality, and if you can get prasad, Krishna prasad, that will be very good. Or if that's not possible, even you yourself could learn cooking. We have cookbooks also available. If you want help in that regard, Jai Krishna will give you information. So, how many of you know cooking? Let us see. How many of you already know cooking yourself? You can raise your hand. Let us see. There is one. Krishna Rohit knows cooking. Oh, Sunit also knows. Okay. Good. Sudarshan Rajagopal also knows. Okay. And also Saurabh Karanki. Saurabh knows. Okay. Okay. Jacob cooks only non-vegetarian. Now, Jacob will give up non-vegetarian now. You can. Okay, 4 of them knew in this. And others can also learn. It's not difficult. It's not very difficult. If you go to any local ISKCON temple and tell them, I want to assist in cooking and watch how they cook, you can learn how to make khichdi, how to make chapatis, how to make rice, how to make different vegetables. And in ISKCON temples, very pure food is cooked, vegetarian food is cooked and offered with great devotion to the deities. And eating that will be very, very purifying to our heart. Yeah. So in this way, that was a point made there. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajáyate prasanna cheta shohyashu buddhi paryavatishthate. So here Lord is saying that if one gets the mercy of the Lord like this, by offering everything to the Lord, you get His mercy. Prasad. So prasad means mercy. Here he says dukkhanam hanihi. All the sufferings are finished by that, he says. Prasanna cheta shohyashu means you become delighted in the heart by leading such a life. That means engaging all senses in Lord's service. And your intelligence becomes fixed also, he says. Like you see in the picture here. See here, the result of achieving Lord's mercy, you get complete satisfaction of the senses and consciousness. And the threefold miseries means miseries from your body and mind, miseries from other living entities, and miseries from natural calamities and all. None of them will affect us. We become aloof. Yeah, like you see this man here, there are so many fire things exploding in the background, but he's very peaceful and smiling when one is Krishna conscious chanting. So in this way, an intelligence is soon well established by this. So you rise above the lower nature by remembering the Lord and by engaging your senses in Lord's service. Yeah. What takes place when one lacks satisfaction in Krishna consciousness? Please read those points. No happiness.
No happiness and peace by lack of Krishna consciousness. By Krishna consciousness, the mind becomes peaceful. But if one is not connected with Supreme, then neither transcendental intelligence is possible, nor steady mind. Without steady mind, no possibility of peace, no happiness without peace.
Yeah, look at all these guys. That is why the whole world is in pieces. There's no peace. Because they are eating stuff which is not good, which is not purifying. They are indulging the senses in wrong direction, so they get into trouble. Yeah. Nasti buddhira yuktasya nacha yuktasya bhavana nacha bhavayata shantir ashantasya kutaha sukham. That Krishna says here, if your intelligence is not focused on the Supreme Lord, then how can you awaken love for Him? And if you don't have love for Him, how can you be peaceful? And if you are not peaceful, how can you experience happiness in this world, he is saying. See, without Krishna consciousness, there cannot be a final goal for the mind. And disturbance is due to want of ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is back home, back to Godhead. That is ultimate. Most people don't know that there is a beautiful spiritual world where Lord and His associates, like you see in the picture, are joyfully taking prasad together, enjoying together, playing games together. So people are unaware of this. People only know that God is, having serving thunderbolts on the sinners, punishing them. That's a very primitive understanding of God. God is a personified love, and He exchanges love with His devotees in the spiritual world. So Krishna consciousness is a self-manifested peaceful condition which can be achieved only in relationship with Krishna. So in this way, a devotee of the Lord has a positive engagement which leads the devotee back home, back to Godhead. Indriyanam khicharatam janmanonu vidhiyate tadasya harati pragyam vayurnavamivambhasi. When one allows the senses to go astray, like you see in the picture, right bottom corner, this fellow is being pulled by his senses in different directions. Shabda, Sparsha, Rasa, Rupa, Gandha, 5, eyes, nose, ears, tongue and skin. When he is attracted, he is letting the senses go, then he will become miserable, he will suffer. How? The example is giving Vayur Navamivambasi, which means, like you see in the top picture, like a boat which is not anchored to the seashore, that gets swept away by a storm. Like that, one gets swept away in this world. In the world when one gets drowned. Yeah, that is a problem. Like you see here, this boat got drowned here because it doesn't, it's not anchored. The whole thing got drowned. You can see that. As a strong wind sweeps away a boat on water, every one of the roaming senses on which mind focuses can carry away a man's intelligence. If our senses are not regulated, what happens if senses are not regulated? Somebody may say, you guys are regulating and you're religious and all, but I don't care. I will let my senses go in whatever direction they want. Then one is like a boat which will be drowned. Like that. Another picture is shown there, which is a camel. Like a camel eats the thorny cactus and thinking that the juice of the cactus is very nice, but there is no juice in the cactus. He is drinking his own blood. Similarly, all the regulative principles, those who break, meat eating, gambling, intoxication, illicit sex, they are all like camel eating thorns. They all cause suffering of the body. Tasmat yasya mahabaho nigrihitani sarvashah indriyani indriyartebhyas tasya prajna pratishtitha. Therefore, an intelligent person, like here you see Markandeya Rishi, he has withdrawn his senses inward and he is chanting with the japa beads, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. He is chanting Lord's names and you can see he has withdrawn himself. So many beautiful celestial society girls, nymphs, they are coming and dancing, and to allure him and agitate him, he is absolutely not agitated. He is a pure devotee of the Lord. In this way, one can rise above all the attractions. Senses are always searching for satisfaction in sense objects. Therefore, one whose senses are restrained from their objects is a man of steady intelligence, he says. Like Dhruva here. Dhruva Maharaj is restraining his senses and focusing on Supreme Lord. Only by Krishna consciousness is one re-established. He is established in intelligence, and one should practice this art under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. And controlling enemies requires a superior force. Senses cannot be controlled by any human endeavor alone. But by higher taste and service to Lord, we can control the senses. Yanisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagarti samyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sanisha pasyato mune. Like you see these two people here. On the left side you find devotee is chanting japa. He is flourishing in his spiritual life. The other side you are finding a fellow drinking liquor bottle and he is degrading himself. One soul is elevating, one soul is degrading. Similarly, two people Krishna is comparing, a spiritualist and a materialist. Left side you find the materialist is asleep to self-realization, whereas devotee is awake to self-realization. These fellows find pleasure in materialistic activities and they are subject to lamentation, bewilderment, all that. They run behind money. Sometimes they are happy, sometimes they are suffering. Whereas a devotee of the Lord engaging in devotion service feels transcendental pleasure in spiritual culture. And when whatever happiness, suffering comes, the devotee tolerates and goes on. The devotee doesn't blame. Sometimes somebody will respect you, somebody will dishonor you. See here a devotee is distributing books, Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. Here Matajis are dancing in Harinam Sankirtan here. You can see how happy they are. You can see there. On the left side you find this fellow is sometimes happy, sometimes miserable. But the devotee is always happy. Whatever situation comes in my life is Krishna's arrangement. Devotee accepts like that. And we are going to conclude this chapter today. Almost 2-3 minutes I will finish it. Apuryamanam achala pratishtham samudramapa pravishanti yadvat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sashanti mapno tinakama kami. Like rivers flowing into the ocean doesn't agitate the ocean. Similarly, a devotee of the Lord who is chanting the holy name here you see, is chanting peacefully. Even though occasionally desires come in our mind, we can throw them out easily. On the other hand, one who is not taking shelter of the Lord, in the top you see that fellow is breaking his head. He is unable to control his desire. Please read this one of you. Krishna conscious person is full because the Lord fulfills all his material necessities and therefore he is always full like the ocean. Then?
Proof of Krishna conscious man lost all inclinations for sense gratification, although desires are present. He is steady like the ocean because he remains satisfied in transcendental loving service and thus achieves real peace. He enjoys full peace. On the contrary, bhukti, fruitive workers, mukti, salvationist, and siddhikami, yogis, never attain peace.
Because these three people, bhuktikami wants to enjoy in this world, fruitive workers, and salvationists want to get rid of the cycle of birth and death. They just want to negate the negative. And siddhikami, they want powers to walk on water, fly on sky and show off to people. So all these fellows have their agendas. So they don't become happy. Whereas a bhakta, he has no agenda. He simply want to love and serve the Lord. Yes, Yash, you have a question? Tell me.
Yeah, but isn't the main goal the four goals of the human life, and one of them is salvation, right? So
Actually, I had explained this in one previous meet. See, try to consider the vertical axis. We are in negative axis now. Going to salvation is 0, 0. And going to spiritual world is positive axis. So, the salvationists who want to go to nirvana or moksha, they want to go to the Brahma Jyoti and Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. They want to relax there. That's all. Whereas those who are bhaktas, they go beyond that platform of Shanti to the platform of love, to the Vaikuntha planets, where they can meet the Lord face to face and engage in loving service to Him. This I explained once before with the example of a husband-wife. So husband-wife are having a quarrel, they are in negative axis. Now husband and wife are living in two separate rooms, they are peaceful. Whereas when husband and wife cooperatively stay together, with each other, loving one another, and that is positive axis. So most people in this world know about moksha. They say that this world is a world of suffering, I want to get rid of cycle of birth and death, and go to 0, 0 and enjoy peace. Like that they think. So is peace greater or love greater? What do you think?
Love is greater.
love is greater.
Yeah. So love is the positive axis. Because in peace, in 0, 0, husband and wife are living two separate rooms. Although they are not quarreling and fighting, they may not be suffering, but there is no positive happiness. Say for example, I call one of you and I pinch on your face, and then you are saying, hey, don't pinch me, leave me. I tell you, okay, leave you, go and sit. So I have not given you anything positive. I have relieved you from pain. Similarly, going to 0, 0 is like relieving from cycle of birth and death. Is that clear?
Yes.
On the contrary, if I call you and give you a vessel of gulab jamun, 4 or 5 gulab jamuns floating in a golden liquid, I give you, please take it. Then I am giving you happiness. That is like positive axis. So we don't want to just negate the negative axis and go to 0, 0 and keep quiet without any service. Shanti, Shanti. We don't want that. We want to go beyond the salvation to positive axis, meet the Lord, engage in His service eternally. Spiritual world. Like the gopas and the gopis and the cows and calves. You'll be learning about spiritual world in the future sessions. I will tell more about that. Does it make sense, Yash?
Yes.
Yeah. So, good question, yeah. Vihaya kamanya sarvan pumam sharati nisprihaha nirmamo nirahankaraha sashantimadi gacchati. He's saying, such a devotee of the Lord who has given up, you see, the desire for satisfaction of Krishna means no material desire. No. A devotee doesn't artificially attempt to abolish the desires, he transforms material desires into spiritual desires. Knowing everything belongs to Krishna, he acquires real happiness or peace. So read the last 3 points, the blue color below, perfect stage of Krishna consciousness, one of you. The blue highlighted.
Yeah. Free from false ego, without falsely claiming material body as oneself, free from proprietorship, without falsely claiming proprietorship over anything in this world. Krishna as a supreme proprietor, therefore uses everything for his satisfaction.
This is the perfect stage of Krishna consciousness. A devotee knows I am not the body, I am the spirit soul. I am not the proprietor of Krishna, everything belongs to Krishna, and let me use everything in his satisfaction. That is perfect stage of Krishna consciousness. This is the last verse of this chapter. Esha brahme sthiti partha nainam paprapya vimukhyati stitva syamanta kalepi brahma nirvanam richati. So Lord is saying here, see the living entity here, the Bhagavad chapter talks about Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga and glimpses of Bhakti Yoga, and the living entity tries to attain Nirvana, ending material life. Then superior to that is Brahma Nirvana, which is Brahman platform. And then further, when the living being progresses, he goes to back home, back to God. That is the complete understanding. In Nirvana, actual life begins after completion of the material life in this very life. Brahma Nirvana is Brahma Sthiti, and higher than that is ultimately is going back home, back to God through performing devotion service. So, therefore, this chapter 2 teaches work externally like other people, but externally don't renounce the work. You do the work. But internally, a devotee is renounced and attached to Krishna. This is the internal state of consciousness of a devotee. A devotee knows that all the objects of this world are temporary. My body is also temporary. I am not the body, I am the spirit soul. Krishna is my master, he is attached to the Lord. And externally works like other people. Arjuna is fighting, Duryodhana is fighting. Arjuna has a chariot, Duryodhana has a chariot. Everything looks the same. But Arjuna is fighting for Krishna's pleasure. Duryodhana is fighting for his own victory. So in this way, the summary is given here. We have completed the chapter successfully. So I'm sorry I delayed a little bit because we want to complete the second chapter today. We'll be going to the next chapter on work, which is a very important chapter. How can our work be made worship? The chapter will be starting from the next session.
Yeah,
Okay?
we're already halfway through the series, right? 25 series of 50.
Yeah, correct. Actually, third, fourth, fifth, sixth chapters are short. They will go faster. Second chapter is a very stout chapter with 72 verses. In another 25 sittings, we will be completing the course.
Okay. I was worried that in only 2 chapters we're halfway through.
Actually, the second chapter is very vital, and we took a lot of time to understand what is the soul and what is body, difference, and also Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga, all these things are explained in one chapter itself. We learned a lot of things. Now you know the foundation is well laid. Now the next 3 chapters will go very, very fast. Next 4 chapters, okay? But I'll be completing in 50 sessions. We'll be finishing the thing. Their next chapters are number of verses are also lesser compared to the second chapter. Thank you all very much.
So you will be teaching us Bhagavatam also, Srimad Bhagavatam?
Actually, I will complete this course and then I will give you access to different programs I do. In that Bhagavatam also is there. And depending on your convenience, you can always join at that time. But by the time we complete these sessions, I want to see that all of you will be put in touch with some devotees who will be able to help you and assist you and facilitate your devotional service. Already I have written a letter to Jai Krishna Prabhu for some of you. For others, I am still in lookout of a good person who can be physically available for you to guide you also. Okay? For you, I think Yugala Kishore Prabhu, we have put you in touch, I think.
I spoke to him. I will meet him most probably tomorrow. Yes, I was supposed to meet him yesterday, but I had some work in the office. But
he's a very good soul. He's my good friend. You can take my name as a reference. He knows me very well.
He knows you. We talked about you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Similarly, I want to make sure each of you get some connection, so that because in this class you learn knowledge. When you meet someone personally and go to the temple, you will really relish it even more. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Sudarshan?
Prabhuji as well.
Sudarshan, you can loudly tell me.
Oh, sorry, Prabhuji. I met Yugala Kishore Prabhuji as well.
Okay. You are in Connecticut, Where are you?
I'm in Michigan.
Michigan, okay. So you met, which devotee you met?
Yugala Kishore Prabhuji.
Yugala Kishore Prabhu, okay, correct. He is also in Michigan. He is in Farmington Hills.
Yeah, Farmington Hills.
For you it is close, Sudarshan?
It is a 1.5 hour drive away.
Okay. Yeah, he is a very good soul and they have a very good community. If you go there, you will really have fun. You will see it's like you will feel very much at home if you go there. Very nice people.
Yes,
I will meet him tomorrow.
You can meet him tomorrow, and you can also visit. Sudarshan can also visit and see if it is nice for you. And he is a very good caregiver, also very good mentor, and he will put you in touch with other fellows there when you go. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.